Hello my loves, and welcome back to another plan with me. Look at me, I am posting early for once. I am so freaking proud of myself. Well, honestly, I'm actually just proud of myself even when I post late because I'm still showing up. And hey, showing up is the bravest thing we can do. Whether we show up for ourselves, the people in our life, our creativity, or our own healing, let's keep showing up. And let's get into this bullet journal theme. So I think you're gonna like it. Okay, everybody, let's get started on the 2021 October plan with me. As you can see, or maybe you can't see because it is still in pencil format, I am going for that more fall-related look. Definitely leaning more towards the mushroom elements along with acorns, botanicals, and that cozy look. If you've been here a while, you will recognize that I've actually reverted back to using some of my older styles for this bullet journal theme, which is definitely a lot more doodly versus the realistic look that I've been going for lately. Well, I wouldn't call it like realism or anything like that, but definitely a lot more detailed, I'd say, which for sure was taking up a lot more time than I have been wanting to spend in my bullet journal. So this month I thought I would just go for that minimal look again and see where it takes me. You will actually find this video to be a lot shorter than most of the plan with me's that I have created this year. Normally I take up about 200, maybe a little bit over 200 gigabytes of space on my hard drive, which is around 6 hours, I'd say, of filming. For this video, it took up about 128 gigabytes of space, so I'd say it was like 3 hours of filming, which is quite frankly half the time that it normally takes me to set up a bullet journal theme. I thought it would be worth noting and sharing that with you because sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming to break out of a habit or a style that we have been used to for a while. Especially as a creator, you never know how your audience is going to perceive your change in style, but I try to not focus on that and instead focus on what it is I need, which was, in this case, more time and a quick bullet journal setup, along with practicing my muscles for minimal artwork. And yes, I do think it takes a range of muscles to create minimal artwork because it definitely takes a lot of bravery and courage to know when to stop. For all of my outlining needs, my headers, my numerical monthly calendars, all my tasks, I used my Sakura fine liners in sepia tone. I used a 003 for all the doodle outlining. I switched between a 01 and the plastic nibbed tip fine liner for the quotes and the borders. For the color palette, I tried to keep the overall look pretty neutral, earthy toned, except for just maybe adding a pop of color for the mushrooms because I wanted to add a little bit of red in there, but it is a brownish red, and the number I used is a 977 in Tombow dual brush pen. For the botanicals, I switched between my Rite-Tech green retractable highlighter and my N57 green Tombow dual brush pen. The rest of my colors are the exact same colors I use pretty much every single month, so I'm sure you can find the specific color you're looking for in my previous plan with me's. For my quote page, I definitely kept it very minimal. There's a quote with some doodles on the bottom with some leaves and sparkles blowing in the wind. I have to say I'm not like entirely happy with the way the composition of this page is at the end, but you know what? It is what it is. Just like this quote says, do what you can, leave the rest. Take what you can, leave the rest. The inspiration for this quote actually came from this idea that, especially like lately, I feel like there's just been this like pressure in the air to be a part of the social justice movements, to heal the racism within us, to fix world hunger, to solve the opioid epidemic, to fix the economy, misogyny, and to give every single homeless person a home to live in. My previous boyfriends have also criticized me for not being more aware of worldly issues or, being more a part of the political conversation around our society. I go through periods where I have a problem with showing up in my life because I feel that I need to have all of the answers about everything in the world. And to that, I just want to say, if we're struggling, the first focus should be ourselves. Those other things, they will come on their own. Because I have a firm belief that when we look inwards and focus on ourselves and our own healing, the world will automatically fully heal itself. Pressures of the world while we are struggling to take care of ourselves is only weighing us down. And I am especially and particular and specifically talking to those people who are trying to get sober, going through grief, going through a depressive episode, or just having a bad day. And to be honest, if we're wanting to know more about these issues or even feeling guilty about them or thinking about them, then we're already halfway there. We're good. We're farther than most people in our activism. So just do what you can and leave the rest. I actually had more planned to say about this, but we're already on the monthly page because I've just, my setup has been completely minimal this month. So we're just going to move on. If you want to know more about these topics, I talk in length about them on my Instagram. Come find me there. I'd love to have you be a part of my community. Okay, let's talk about the monthly. So I just want to say I really enjoyed last month's layout. So I wanted to do something similar this month, while of course changing out the doodles and, the borders and the stylistic elements and the quotes and whatnot. So if you haven't seen last month's video, I'll really quickly explain. I have 3 lists. One is for content creation. One is a tasks list. It's just a to-do list that has nothing to do with content creation. It's more personal or administrative. And then I have a list for everything that I need to do for next month that I may not remember or that I may need to keep in mind of before next month starts. I went with a staggered bubbly font for the October header, and I actually completely messed up all the numbers for my calendar, so I had to go over them with a Sakura fine liner and then rewrite them in with a white jelly roll. The first box of the month is non-existent because that would have started on a Friday. I've been going through a little bit of a depressive episode, and when I'm in that mindset, I could get a little forgetful or absent-minded. For example, I also forgot to add the mini calendar that I normally add on this page. But luckily, we have ways to fix our mistakes in our bullet journal so it still looks neat and pretty and aesthetic if that is what you're going for. And I did completely veto the monthly numerical mini calendar idea because, well, I didn't have any room. So luckily, we can veto things too. Okay, so the inspiration for the quote on this page actually came from Frederick Buechner, and the original quote says, "Here's the world. Beautiful and terrible things will happen. Don't be afraid." I personally do not align with the second half of the quote because I don't think it's just as easy as telling someone to just not be afraid. For example, I just love the quote from Milan that says, "There is no courage without fear." That is absolutely one of my favorite mantras because honestly, I am terrified like all the freaking time. I'm afraid of everything. I'm afraid of waking up in the morning. I'm afraid of going to bed. I'm afraid of picking up my phone or walking out the door or meeting up with a friend or buying my first plant. I was even afraid of making this voiceover. And the only thing that helps me with my fear is being aware of it and then doing things anyways. Now, this gets a little bit tricky because I do not think that we should do everything that we are afraid of. For example, if we are afraid to try heroin, that does not mean we go and try heroin. That is why I made my own version of this quote that makes much more sense to me, and it goes like this: "Here is the world. Beautiful and terrible things will happen, and it is okay to be afraid and to be aware." I think the most important part of this quote is the awareness component. We need to let the world happen to us. We need to make mistakes. We need to take risks. We even let our hearts get broken or we break our own hearts. But we need to assess by looking deep within ourselves whether the path we are taking is the path worth walking through our fears for. The last year and a half has been me figuring out which fear is mine and which fear is the one society placed within me. For example, society wants me to get addicted. Society also does not want me to follow my dreams, because following my dreams would mean the economy could not profit off of my unhappiness, and not getting addicted would mean less money going into pharmaceutical companies' pockets. Again, which fear is mine and which fear is the world's? Moving on, let us talk about this month's habit and mood tracker page. The overall layout is pretty much the same, except I made tiny little monthly numerical calendars, which I will be filling out with a colored pen every time I check off a habit I have completed for the day. If this is your first time watching my videos, then the habits that I will be tracking is whether or not I posted on Instagram, whether I journaled that day, did I read, did I engage in some self-love, go to a meeting, talk to my sponsor, did I pray, or did I do my skincare? And the moods that I will be tracking are my focus, anxiety, and my moody levels for every single day, along with how connected I feel to myself. I will also be tracking the time I go to bed every single night. As always, you can see a close-up of this page and any page on my Instagram. I also post my bullet journal pages on my Patreon before I post them anywhere else, so if you need early access to them, they are available in the link below, which will lead you to my Patreon page. On the left side of this page, I went ahead and created the same pattern that I have been creating with the mushrooms, acorns, botanicals, and clouds that I had created on the other pages so far. And then I had some space on the right side as well, which I really couldn't figure out what to put there, so I just kind of created larger mushrooms, clouds, and a moon. I also added some sparkles, and I have to say I really enjoyed the overall look in the end. I'm not sure if you can clearly see it, but the pattern that is on the left side is supposed to look as if it is drawn out on a torn out piece of paper from a spiral bound notebook. Right now the outline is just in pencil, but I actually didn't end up outlining it in ink. I think it would have made the page look a little too busy, and I really wanted to focus on keeping this page looking minimal and playful and doodly. That is why I am really happy that I like to pencil and plan out things first, while reminding myself that it is completely okay to detour from the original plan, because I definitely believe the way we should approach art is by finding the balance between the planning part and then also the letting go of the desired outcome part. Kind of like how we can approach life, right? Sorry, I've just been like going through this mini obsession where I'm like trying to find metaphors for everything, because I believe that metaphors are just another way to explain what feels true to us, but in more creative and imaginatory ways. And sometimes metaphors can even make simple truths even more simple. Why don't you all comment below your favorite metaphor, and we will all have a metaphor party. Anyways, I did another staggered look for the October header, and the quote for this page says, "A little bit of willingness, courage, and acceptance, and a whole lot of love makes for a beautiful life." Because if we think about it, willingness negates stagnation, courage negates fear, and acceptance negates delusion, which are all mindsets that I am constantly living in. So there, I have found the perfect magical recipe to life, and I am giving it to all of you for free. You're welcome. So now let us finish up decorating this page with some washi and some stickers from the sticker sheets I created for the September Patreon Happy Mail, which, by the way, the subscription is still open till the last day of September if you would like to receive the fall themed sticker sheets in the mail, plus of course some other goodies as well. Okay, now let's get into the weekly. I am continuing with the minimal aesthetic. I created the October header on the left side along with the monthly numerical calendar right underneath it. So for each day of the week, wherever I write in my tasks, I alternated in style. So 3 of the borders will have a boxed border and the other 3 will have a highlighted section. I wanted to change up the style of doodles, so I didn't want to make a pattern on this weekly, so I went for a little tiny scenery of 3 little mushrooms, clouds, moons, and stars on the bottom right hand side of this page. And the quote for this page is actually by a Persian poet. His name is Rumi, which I am not too familiar with his work, but I hear his work referenced in so many of the books I read in the spiritual community, so I've been trying to actually get to know his work a little bit better. So when I was trying to find inspiration for the words that I wanted to put on this page, I just looked through his most popular work, and I actually found this quote that I feel aligned very deeply within me, and I want to share it with all of you. So it goes like this: "You are not the drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in just one drop." I love this quote so much. It just acts as a reminder saying that, you know, we are all so connected with each other, and the entire universe really just exists within me. I really have all the answers inside of me, and if I just get quiet enough, I can hear them. It just says in so many words how vast and capable and powerful I am, that I'm not just this tiny little worthless human being who's just living another life, that there is actually a point to my life. My existence matters because the universe put me here. I mean, think about how powerful that is, right? Like, all of us, we are all tiny little drops, but we all have entire oceans within us. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed that quote. I'm excited to get to know Rumi's work a little bit more. I'm almost done here. I'm just adding some last minute touches like these grids and the collages, and now we can move on to the flip through. I must say, I really enjoyed this month's bullet journal theme. I really liked going back to my minimal aesthetic. I'm also really enjoying making my own stickers and having the ability to use them in my bullet journal. They definitely come in handy when I feel like the composition isn't looking right or I just need to fill some space up, but like I don't really want to draw anything in. I've been feeling connected to my bullet journal. Of course, it comes in waves, but I'm in the on period right now and it feels really good. I'm sure next week all my motivation will be gone again, because that is how quickly my emotions change, because hey, I am human and it's completely normal. So anyways, I'll see you guys in the outro. Love you, bye. And that is it for a very simple and minimal bullet journal setup. You know, I don't have a lot to say in my outro today, but I figured I would give you all a formal goodbye because that is kind of what I've been doing so far. So I really hope you guys have a lovely day today. And if no one told you they loved you, I love you.